Hello everyone. In this video, I'll show you how to create dependent drop-down list in Excel. So, let's get started. A dependent drop-down list in Excel enables users to select an option in one drop-down that filters the choices available in another drop-down. For instance, if you have a category drop-down, like fruits or vegetables, selecting fruits will display only the corresponding fruit options, such as apple or banana, in a second drop-down. This is achieved by creating lists for each category and using the indirect function to dynamically reference the selection in the first drop-down, making only related options appear in the second drop-down. This approach streamlines data entry and improves accuracy. Here's where we'll set up our dependent drop-down lists. The first drop-down will allow users to select a division, while the second will adjust to show only the apps that correspond to the chosen division. If you look at our dataset, you'll see the divisions listed across the top, with each division's apps listed directly below. For clarity in the video, I've placed this dataset next to the selection area, though normally it would be on a separate tab or hidden. We'll begin by setting up the division drop-down, which is fairly simple. Go to the Data tab, select Data Validation, and under List, set this range as the source, then click OK. Now, you'll be able to choose among the three divisions. I've fixed the cell references to allow easy copying across rows. Next, let's tackle the more complex part, creating a dependent drop-down that changes based on the division selected. For example, if Utility is selected, the App drop-down will show only apps related to that division. We'll use the offset function for this. To ensure accuracy, I'll write the formula here before adding it to the data validation box. The formula is based on the offset function. The first argument for the offset function is the reference point, which serves as the starting location. Offset then generates a range offset by a specified number of rows and columns from this reference. To ensure accuracy, it's best to set this near the dataset, so I'll begin with the header as the reference point. Since I'll be copying this formula across rows, I'll also make sure it's appropriately fixed. Next, I need to specify how many rows to move down. Because the apps list begins one row below the reference, I'll set the row offset to 1. As for the columns, the offset will depend on the division type. If the division is productivity, the column remains the same. For utility, we'll shift 2 columns over. To determine the exact column number, I'll use the match function. In the match function, the first argument is the lookup value, which is the selected division. I'll lock the column reference and use the row containing the division names as the lookup array, locking it entirely with F4. Since we need an exact match, I'll set the third argument to 0. To verify, I'll highlight the formula and press F9, confirming that utility is in column 3. Since offset starts counting from 0, I'll subtract 1 from the match result to align it with the offset function's counting system, which gives us the correct column offset. I'll revert the test with Ctrl+Z. Once the column is set correctly, we can define the height. I'll start by setting both the height and width to 1 to confirm we're targeting the correct cell. With these set to 1, the offset function should return a single cell. After pressing Enter, I see Commuter, indicating we're in the right place. When switching to the Game Div division, I see Fightery, so everything appears to be working as expected. Next, I want the drop-down list to show all apps in the selected division without any blank cells. Since each list varies in length, 15, 12, and 13 items, setting a fixed height of 15 would add empty options in some divisions. If blank cells are acceptable, a fixed number is fine. However, if we need an exact list for each division, a more precise method is necessary. I'll walk you through both options. First, let's set the height to 15. Pressing F9 in the formula bar shows all the apps, with blank cells at the end if they don't fill the 15 slots. To undo this, I press Ctrl+Z. With the formula confirmed, I copy it, go to Data Validation, paste it under the List option, and click OK. Now, the drop-down shows all apps, including any empty cells at the bottom. For the second option, I'll create a dynamic list that excludes blank cells. To do this, I'll set the height to adjust based on the chosen division. I can determine the correct height with the counter formula, which counts text entries within a specified range. Testing counter on the productivity range gives me 15, while GameDiv returns 12. Now, I need this range to change dynamically with the selected division. To make this work, I'll use another offset formula, starting from the same reference cell. I'll fix this reference, move down by one row, and use the match function to adjust columns based on the division. The height is set to a safe maximum, like 20, with a width of 1. Wrapping the offset formula in counter gives the correct count based on the division. I copy this formula, paste it into the data validation box, replace the fixed height of 15, and click OK. When I test the dropdown, it now displays only the apps for the selected division, without any extra blank cells at the bottom. To apply this validation across multiple rows, I select the cells, right-click, choose Paste Special, and select Validation. Testing it, choosing Productivity shows only its apps, while Game shows only game-related apps, stopping at the last entry. We've successfully used nested offset formulas to create dependent drop-down lists in Excel. This method relies on a single, albeit complex formula to achieve the desired result. While it may seem intricate at first glance, I find it far more straightforward than alternatives such as the indirect or substitute functions. Unlike these functions, which might require multiple steps or additional formulas to get to the same endpoint, offset allows us to accomplish everything in one streamlined approach. If this video helped you out, feel free to buy me a coffee using the link in the description. This will support the channel so I can keep making more videos like this.